The Team Lally show was previously recorded.
It's time to enter the world of real estate in Oahu with Hawaii's only true real estate radio show, the Team Lally Real Estate Show. Grab a pen and get ready to take notes. For the next full hour, Hawaii's premier real estate leader, Adrienne Lally, and Attilio Leonardi will bring you the latest in real estate news and real-world strategies on how they can guarantee to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or they'll buy it. Now, here are your hosts, Adrienne and Attilio.
Welcome to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. If you have any questions, just give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Attilio, and this is that art part of the show. What does that stand for, Adrian? Give it to him quick.
Attilio's Random Thoughts.
Yeah, so what my hope is that this is a nugget of information that doesn't necessarily cost you anything. Could maybe. If anything, it's going to be an investment of time, because if you hear a lot of advice and you don't execute on it, then your life will never change. As Zig Ziglar said, everybody wants change in their life. They want goals, but they're unwilling to make the change internally to reach those goals. So I want to talk about the holiday season. This is that time of the year when the good news is you're hanging out and getting into close proximity with your friends and family. And then the bad news is you're hanging out and getting into close proximity with your family, throw in some Lao and some tequila. Next thing you know, it ain't a party till we call HPD to break it up. So I want to go into this holiday season with some techniques, some thoughts from a university. I forgot. Oprah was interviewing him on the Super Soul Sunday on the podcast and talking about things that we need to do to be more happy. And obviously one of those is to not be in discourse with your friends and relatives over the holidays, because that's usually when we either come together and create better connection, or when we get all pissed off with each other and don't talk to each other for the year 2024. So here are one of the things. You know, everybody's going to be at high stress. We're trying to do a million things in the month of December before the end of the year. You know, Hawaii people, you know what we like to do?
What?
Clean our house.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes from the Japanese culture, because they would go into that end of the year, you like do deep cleaning. I remember my mom, she used to make us like take all the stuff out of the cabinets, wipe all the shelves down. Adrian, last time she did that was when she moved in.
It's true.
Yeah. We found Jimmy Hoffa in one of her cabinets. His hand was there. But anyway, so that's what we do. So you're doing all this deep cleaning, we're decluttering, we're getting ready for the new year, we're coming up with all these New Year's resolutions. And I would say that one of the things that you could do is maybe crank it down a little bit. Why do gyms, you know, they can only have so many people in the gym. Have you ever heard a gym in your life going, oh, you know, we got to stop. We got too many members. We're full.
No, I've never heard
of that. They will never do that, because statistically, the majority of the signups are in the beginning of the year, first quarter of the year, about January. Mm-hmm. About February, March, what happens?
Well, people, they keep paying for the gym memberships.
Because it feels good.
Yes. And but they stop going.
And everybody's doing the HMSA thing. Oh, I got to work out 42 times. Not in 1 month, but throughout the year, so I can get my reimbursement. But what happens is almost 30% of the people who sign up for gyms in the beginning of the year stop going. Mm-hmm. And they go like, oh, wow, I got that 24-hour fitness thing way back in 1979. It's only $5.99 a month, but you don't go. So pick New Year's resolutions that you are going to be 100% committed to following through. And here's what I would tell you, good or bad, stick with it for the whole year. So know that, and this is the difference between commitment or goal and a promise. A goal is, I'm going to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. A promise, you go to your kids and you tell them, mommy and daddy needs to do this kind of work at work. And then when I come home, we're going to have a good time. But if I got to do this at work, you got to support mommy and daddy in this. And we're going to take you to Disney World in December. So picture in your mind that child that you have. And come December, you're going to tell them, mommy and daddy needs to break their promise. We didn't do the things that we needed to do so that we could go to Disneyland. And in that moment when you're hearing this, how would you feel? Breaking a promise.
I would feel sad.
You would feel sad. You're like, oh, wow, I don't want to have this conversation with my child. They're going to be bummed out. They're going to start hitting you with their teddy bear. And so when you put that type of emotional attachment to a goal and stop making it a goal and making it a promise, you're more likely to stick with it through the whole year. So
turn those goals into promises.
Speaking of someone that doesn't make goals, but he makes promises that he's going to maintain the value of your investment property, who is that?
That would be Duke Kimhan of Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Hey, Duke.
I was wondering how you were going to get me in there.
There's always a way.
The road you were going down.
You promised to take care of people's properties.
Right.
I've heard you say that.
He guarantees.
Yeah, but
it does some guarantees.
We are the only company that I've seen that does guarantee anything in writing.
Yeah.
All the rest of them say, hey, we'll charge you 10% and we'll watch over your property.
That's it.
But I took it a step further and I said, hey, if you let us take care of your property, I promise I will do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one thing. The other thing is to get people to commit. It's so hard for people to make a decision just about taking care of their property.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that people do not shop. They just, if their friend said, oh, try this company, I heard them on the radio, or try this guy, I know him because he knows my father.
Yeah.
Hawaii is infamous for people making decisions because somebody else referred them.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
And not doing any more research beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes time, right? You have to call them, make an appointment, you got to talk to them, and then half of the people don't know the questions to ask. So here's the questions for the consumer to ask property management companies. Of course, the first one is how much? How much do you charge? The second question is, what do I get for that? And third question is, what kind of guarantees do you have for your work?
Yeah.
Right? And that's a tough question because if you're a business owner, most business owners don't guarantee anything. Restaurants don't guarantee anything.
Yeah,
places that do dry cleaning, they don't guarantee anything when they say, we'll take your clothes in, we'll charge you $4 a shirt, blah, blah, blah. They're not guaranteeing you anything.
It's like those parking garages. Your purse going to be there when you park the car, but it says we are not responsible for your purse not being there when you get back to your car.
So in the business world, in the property management side, it's very specific to what people can do, can't do.
Yes.
So they can tell you that right up front. Here's what we're good at. Here's what I will do, blah, blah, blah. But ask what you're going to get for your guarantee. And we will tell you in writing up front in our contract what our 3 guarantees are.
Yeah.
And that's a communication guarantee, a rent guarantee. I'll tell you what the lowest amount of rent I will get for your property. If I don't get that, I'll pay you that amount of money. And the last one is the eviction guarantee. If we have to evict the tenant that we put in, we'll pay for the eviction, the legal costs.
Nice.
Nobody's doing that.
And that's huge, especially here in Hawaii where the eviction process is pretty complex
and you think
and
about
costly.
Duke and his team, you guys are all in on checking out the tenant because you're going to be paying the legal fees if you weren't, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get banking statements, we get commanding officer contact info, we get last 2 landlords, last 2 employers if we can. We do a background check on the internet. We just check you out. We just do everything we can. And if you refuse, then you can go live somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's it.
Especially if you post on TikTok, oh, this is how I jacked up my last landlord. Nope, not renting to you.
Yeah, that's not the guy you want to put in your property. But anyway, in this day and age, ask the questions, take the time. And most people are giving me $1 million house.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'll just take that property manager.
Yeah. The random one. It's
so do your research, do your due diligence, and, Google Hawaii Pacific Property Management. You'll see all of the reviews, excellent reviews that they have from their property owners.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of lower ones, but usually those are from tenants that are disgruntled.
I think they're just from all places in the world, everywhere. You got them in your family, you got them in your church organization, you got them at your workplace. They're just angry people.
But on average, people are very happy with the services. And, you've even given examples where clients don't realize how, the high level of service that you guys provide. And then they, go elsewhere and they're, shocked. And then they come back.
I have not met any property managers on island that have a maintenance department. So you say, what's a maintenance department? When something goes wrong in your unit, the tenants can just call, email, or text our maintenance department. Say, hey, my disposal isn't working. Maintenance department will call the owner and then call the tenant and say, the owner has approved your repair. The workmen guys are coming on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Can you be there? So that's our maintenance department. And they work 6 days a week. On the 7th day on Sunday, they only work till 4 o'clock.
They're so good. I heard one recording the other day, and the tenant was just calling in, and the service department was like, "Oh, what can we help you with?" It's like, "Oh, nothing. I just feeling a little bit lonely right now. Can you talk with me?" And they're like, they listen to them and said, "Have a nice day," and they,
Yeah, therapy line.
No, don't call a service line. Call your mom.
Shop us. So the lesson for today is shop around.
Yes.
Get your money's worth.
Intelligent decisions are made with more information than less. So make good, intelligent decisions.
And call Duke and his team.
That's Duke's tip for today.
Thank you, Duke.
Thank you, Duke.
All right. Take care.
All right.
All right. So you can get a hold of Duke and his team by going to teamlally.com. We have a resource tab, and it's under Experts We Trust.
You should check out all our vendors. If you have a vendor that you need for some kind of home situation, go to that link and you'll see the people that we vetted out. The other thing I want to share with you is I have 2 investment properties, and I am a licensed realtor, and I could manage this stuff for myself. But I'll give you an example. On the I have a property near the university studio, bought a long time ago, own it free and clear. And we was in Italy, and I get an email from my manager, the refrigerator went out. And I was like, oh, no, like Gumby. Was that Mr.? No, it was Mr. Bill. Oh, no. And then I said, oh, then replace them. And then I got another email. It's $500. And I said, oh, no, Mr. Bill, we have to replace your refrigerator. And then I didn't see that. I just from Italy, it was, they let me know about the refrigerator. I told them replace it. That's
Done.
That's it. So when you try to nickel and dime your property management fees, I'm going to tell you, your quality of life will not be that enjoyable, especially if you're managing it yourself.
Well, the other thing, too, is that it may irritate the tenant, and then they're going to leave, and then your unit's going to be vacant for a month or 2. So, is it worth it?
I would tell you people that even if you're managing it yourself, I can tell you right now, you have no life. And you know what we found when we've done rental analysis for rent by owners? 90% of them are renting below market.
They're not charging enough. They're not keeping up with where it needs to be.
You're saving your 10%, but you're probably 15% losing money on the amount of rent you're charging, because we've come across so many for rent by owners. They haven't changed the rent in 5 years, 10 years.
What's your time worth?
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about a review.
Yes.
All right.
A review.
So this is from Danielle. We worked closely with Debbie Voss at Team Lally during our house hunt when we moved to Oahu earlier this year. Not only is Debbie an amazing and kind person, but she is great at her job and really cares about her clients. She takes the time to get to know who she is working with and does everything in her power to find her clients what they're looking for. We loved working with Debbie and recommend her to anyone looking to buy a house in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Good job, Debbie.
Good job, Debbie. And by the way, you know how Debbie became a member of Team Lally?
How?
She went to a career night.
That's right.
So Hawaii Career Night, all you got to do is go to hawaiicareernight.com. That's hawaiicareernight.com. You're thinking about maybe not even making a move into real estate industry, but maybe you just want to check it out.
Yeah.
I think we got one coming up in what, January?
Yeah. January. So to start the new year off right, come visit with us.
Come check it out. Socialize with us. Come hang out. We do make it fun and entertaining. We answer all your questions. We don't leave till we've answered all your questions. And we talk about, what do we talk about at Career Night?
Well, just like the costs, right?
And then what it
the
is?
Schooling.
I think it's three things. It's the cost, the time, and what do you do?
That's right.
And we talk about front of the house and back of the house. What does that mean for real estate?
So there's a lot of different roles in our industry where some people are front facing the clients and other people are more behind the scenes
administrative,
and assisting and supporting to make sure, because there is a lot of moving parts in a real estate transaction.
We talk about the straight commission positions. We talk about the salary only positions, and we talk about the hybrids that are a combination of both. And that's what you get to learn about the Hawaii career. You know what's cool? What was one of the cool things? Not a cool thing, but it was just something that had happened during COVID regarding the real estate industry.
Well,
as far as like, if you worked at the hotel, you wasn't working.
That's right. Well, we were.
Because we were essential.
That's right. We were essential workers, and we were also able to do a lot of our work over Zoom.
Yeah.
And virtual showings, and just accomplish a lot of those things, virtually. And we still can. So we work with clients that are, located all over the world.
So we learned that this industry is pandemic proof. If you're a military spouse, somebody getting out of the military, somebody, significant other of military, we love the having you guys come chat with us, because the benefit to you, I mean, obviously in about 3 to 5 years, you guys are going to be PCSing if this isn't your final duty station, but it is a portable skill. What does that mean, Adrian? Portable skill?
Well, that means that you can take it with you to your next duty station, and we have made introductions to other teams like us all around the U.S.
All right. So a question for you, Adrian. What is the second highest, most of the time for a single-family home, what is the second highest cost to owning that home right after the mortgage?
Well, for single-family home, that would be your electric bill.
The electric bill. And here's one thing we know about your electric bill. There's one thing I can guarantee is that it will continue to rise over time. And why is that? Because here's the math, folks. Over nationwide, only about 4 or 5% of homes have solar panels. In Hawaii, it's 30%. And what that means is more and more people who had the $800 bill now have the $80 bill. And for those of you who don't have solar panels, you're going to have rate increases because the HECO still needs to keep the system running. And so they're going to have to do rate increases as we get closer and closer to 100% green with our people. So speaking about going green and getting educated, getting intelligent on what it means to have a mortgage, who do we have, Adrian?
That would be Todd with the LoanDepot.
Yeah. So, Todd, what you got for us this week in the mortgage world?
Hey, guys. What's going on? Today, because it was relevant, and, we kind of just went through this the other day, I wanted to talk about temporary interest rate buydowns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are two type of interest rate buydowns. And one of them is a permanent buydown, where you pay loan points and you get a lower rate for the entire term of the loan.
Yeah.
However, as you guys know, what's become a little bit more popular in the marketplace today, because it's become more of a buyer's market and sellers are giving credits, we're utilizing those credits to do, instead of a permanent buydown where you permanently buy the rate for an entire life loan, we do a temporary buydown.
Yeah.
And the benefit of the temporary buydown is that it lowers the interest rate more than a permanent buydown, and therefore lowers the monthly payment much more than a permanent buydown.
Yeah.
And then again, the drawback is not permanent; it's only temporary. So it's just for either 1, 2, or 3 years. The first 1, 2, 3 The first 1, 2, or 3 years of the loan, excuse me.
So in the beginning, so interest rates are, so just, we'll break it down to real simple English for people. Interest rates are high right now. So for either the first, second, or third year of your mortgage, we're going to get a lower interest rate. And what is the strategy behind that, Todd? Why do that?
The strategy behind that is on a permanent buy down, you might be able to buy the rate down 0.25% or 0.5%.
Yeah.
When you do a temporary buy down, you can get the interest rate down below, you can get the rate lower by 1, 2, or 3% for the first 3 years.
Okay.
For example, I'm going to use what we call a 3-2-1 buy down. So whatever your interest rate is for the 3-2-1 buy down, for the first year, your interest rate or your monthly payment is calculated at 3% of the rate. So if you have a rate of 6.75%, for the first year, they're going to use a 3.75% to calculate your interest rate. So that's going to be a much more dramatic lowering of your monthly payment versus doing a permanent buy down, right? So once again, the 3-2-1 buy down, is a 3% below for the first year, 2% below for the second year, and then 1% below for the third year. Yeah. And then for the fourth year and on, it goes back up to the note rate of the loan. Okay, so once again, it's temporary.
So Todd, like with this strategy, are buyers hoping that sometime during this, 3-year time period that they'll have a chance to do that permanent refinance and get the lower interest rate for the whole length of the loan?
Exactly. So a lot of the mortgage or real estate and mortgage organizations out there are predicting that interest rates are going to drop in the next year or two, so that people that are buying homes now at a higher interest rate are going to have an opportunity to refinance their loan in the next year or two. Now, if you did a permanent buy down and you paid a lot of points to get a lower rate for the life of the loan, that's great, but if you refinance in a year or two, you're not going to have the loan long enough to reap the benefits of that lower rate.
So Todd,
like temporary buy down.
So Todd, like when you're working with clients, do you do these math calculations to show them, okay, like you're going to have this loan for X amount of years or months in order for it to, be worth it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we compare different interest rates, like if you went with a lower or no point loan or rate, or with a higher point or a lower rate interest rate. We compare the two different interest rates, and we show where the break-even point is. And normally the break-even point is going to be between like 5 and 7 years. So if you're not going to have the loan for that period of time, it doesn't make sense for you to pay the points to get the lower rate. You're better off paying little or no points and going with a higher rate.
Well, the bottom line is this. You got to run the numbers on all the scenarios. And Adrian, what is important about running the numbers on all the scenarios in this radio show that we're doing right now?
I would say that being informed and having more information so that you can make the best decision based on, your intentions with that home.
And the thing is don't get distracted by looking at a million different things. Just look at a few things and go deep. Because when we focus on things and go deep on things, we have a better quality decision. Is that right, Adrian?
Yeah.
Yep. So, the other thing too, Todd, is that, and I'll see if you pick up on this. Why is it important to be looking at buying a home now versus when the interest rates are lower?
So, if you haven't experienced the real estate market in 2020 and 2021, it was just absolutely crazy. I had a lot of clients that got pre-approved and were looking to buy a home during that period. And they put in 5, 10 offers and kept getting outbid and never got their offer accepted, and ended up getting burnt out emotionally and physically, just draining, and just exited the market and never ended up buying a home.
And that market was sponsored by Chiquita because it was bananas. It was so competitive. People were stressing out. I mean, you had to almost give away your firstborn plus an extra kidney to get a seller to accept an offer. Exactly. It was crazy. Exactly. So people are like, I'm waiting for the interest rates come down. Oh, I want lower interest rates. Be careful what you wish for. because it's like a seesaw. You know, you remember that friend who you got, he was a little bit heavier than you. He put you high up on the seesaw, then he jumps off. And then your collar hits the ground. And you're like, "Owie." So that's what happens when the interest rates drop. It's painful because then you're in an MMA fight with every buyer in the universe trying to get that same home. Right now, the competition's knocked out, and you can negotiate a little bit stronger as a buyer. Now, sellers are still getting a good deal because inventory is low, so it's kind of like a balanced market, and there's not so much mayhem out there. But Todd, what else before we let you go?
So the topic of today's conversation was the permanent buy down versus the temporary buy down.
Yes.
And with the permanent buy down, we're looking at doing low or no points and going with a high rate because they're not going to have the loan long enough for them to reap the benefits of paying points and getting a lower rate.
Yeah.
Now, the benefit of the temporary buy down, if you do the temporary buy down, essentially what happens is the difference in monthly payments from the actual note rate versus the lower rate, those funds get set aside in another account, and it's used to subsidize the monthly payments for the first 1, 2, or 3 years. So as an example, if you're doing the 3-2-1 buy down for the first year, your interest rate is 3%, or your monthly payments is calculated at 3% below the note rate. So where does the difference in monthly payment come? It comes from this temporary buy down subsidy. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're doing the 3-2-1 buy down, that you'll have a 3-year period of a lower interest rate. But let's say you refinance in year 2. Well, what happens? Whatever balance is in that subsidy account gets credited back to the borrower in a way of a lower, it goes to reducing the principal balance. Mm-hmm. So they still get the benefit of that money, even if they refinance before the temporary buy down period is over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep.
I was not aware of that little technicality. So thanks for giving us a lesson on these buy downs and the difference between the temporary versus permanent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd. All right, we are going to take a break, but stay with us. When we come back, we'll be talking with Amphay Champathong of Estate Planning Group of Hawaii. We're going to talk about the essentials of estate planning and who benefits from it.
So stay with us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here, talking with the only real estate agent in your market I recommend. Adrian Lally and Attilio Leonardi of Team Lally Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, Honolulu. You know, it's more important than ever that you have your house in top condition when you sell it. Can you give some suggestions on how to do that?
Sean, homes need to be move-in ready. The basics are decluttering, depersonalizing, professional cleaning, and getting all the honey-do lists done. We have the resources to do a full remodel and or simple things like cleaning, painting, and landscaping.
How will that impact the listing price?
Ultimately, by working with a team of professionals with a ton of resources and strategies, you will net more money in a shorter amount of time. That's it. Let's go.
Great update. Thank you for keeping us informed. Put the most experience and the best marketing to work for you. Call Team Lally now at 799-9596 or online at teamlally.com. That's teamlally.com.
Taking one cash offer for your home doesn't have to be your only option. I'm Barbara Corcoran, and especially in today's current market, having a local real estate agent who offers great marketing and options that are customized to fit your needs is smart. In Honolulu, the agents I trust are Adrian Lally and Attilio Leonardi. They can give you a guarantee to sell your home, flexible fees, or up to $10,000 in cash to help with repairs. Get the option that's right for you. Go to teamlally.com.
And I'm still Attilio, and I'm Hawaiian.
And if you have any questions, just give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
Well, hey, everybody. Our next guest, who's our next guest? Or actually, this is not our next guest. It's the main guest. He came to Hawaii with his family as refugees from Laos after spending a couple of years in a refugee camp. He grew up in Kalihi, attended Kalani High School, and completed his college education at University of Hawaii.
He has a BA in Sociology, Master's in Social Work, and a Juris Doctorate at the William S. Richardson School of Law. He's a member of the Hawaii State Bar Association, practicing in estate planning and serving as a Guardian-ad-Litem. Please welcome our guest, Amphay Champathong.
Amphay, hey, are you there?
Aloha. Hey,
welcome.
Adrian. Hey, Atilio.
Yeah. Here's the first question off the bat. Let's just hit them. It's like the cheerleaders on the sidelines at the football game. Hit them high, hit them low. Give them a question right off the bat. So let's go right away. Estate planning. And explain it to me as if I was an 11-year-old. What is estate planning?
Estate planning is an exercise in your liberties. If you value your privacy, if you want to be able to control, the reason why we work hard at Tilio is because we want to provide for our family, and in the event something happens to us, that it will help us, and when we pass away, that it will be transferred to our children. If you want to see that happen and control that, then you must do your estate plan.
Yeah. This is an actual. I feel like it's like, what was that? There was like an FBI TV show, and it was like, there are many stories in the Windy City, and here is one of them. So I'm going to share one of these real-life estate planning situations. We were just talking with the client last night. So it's her and her sister are going to get proceeds from the sale. This is from the dad's property. But then the niece, the dad put in all these stipulations. I think, she's going to get like a minority percentage.
20%.
Yeah, 20%. But he had stuff in there like she had to have one certain GPA.
It only goes for educational expenses, but she has to maintain a certain GPA or she doesn't get any of the money.
Yeah.
So there's strict requirements. And then one of the sisters is the one that's in charge of, the money.
The executor.
Yes.
And so I thought that was a real life example of the father through his trust, putting in some very specific instructions. And so, Amphay, when somebody puts in those kind of instructions, can the people just blow it off and do whatever they want?
And this is why it's important to go and see the help of an expert that is in this area, because it actually works both ways. I just shared how, as the individual, as the parents that work really hard, I do want to be able now to set conditions as to how I want my beneficiaries, my children, to inherit, the things that I worked hard for. Mm-hmm. At the same time, there's also should be some flexibilities in the event that, things don't go as planned. Yes. And now, do we have enough discretion that we provide to our trustees in order for it to benefit our children? So I don't know if that answers your question, but what I'm going to say is it's important to have that discussion so that way I can share with my families, what are the upsides, what are the drawbacks, what are the consequences, and all these different, so that way now our families make well-informed plans for their families.
I think it's just also too, Adrian, do you think this is like a topic everybody's like, yippee, let's talk about what's going to happen after I die?
No, people don't really like to talk about it.
It's not like getting a lot of views on Instagram, TikTok. Hey, this is what I want to happen when I die, and everybody's like chiming in. No, it's not, because people don't want to talk about that.
I have seen people put stuff on Instagram about making sure that your property is protected by a trust.
But I guarantee,
but they're not attorneys. Yeah, they're not attorneys like Amphay.
Well, it's being triggered because something happened, or a relative, this or that, and there was a big fight at the funeral, and you're like, man, I wish we had that spelled out.
Well, I mean, there's the passing away, but then there's also the asset protection.
Yeah.
So, Amphay, can we talk about that part of the estate planning?
Well, let's go to the next question, which is, can you explain to us what is a trust?
I just wanted to add on a little bit. I know we talk about individuals passing away, and what happens to their assets. I think something as important, or not even more costly in terms of unintended consequences, is when we fail to prepare and then now we are incapacitated. Most individuals will go through some period of incapacity before they pass away.
Yeah.
Some much, much longer period of time. Now, if you don't do your planning during these incapacity, the only means as to how your family will be able to access your assets, your accounts to help support your needs as well as your family's needs is through a conservatorship. And to me, a conservatorship is much, much more time-consuming and expensive.
Yeah.
You think about this, Attilio, I had just had a client call me, and he had to take care of his mom who was in a nursing home for 10 years. She was incapacitated for 10 years. If there were no planning done, that means 10 years they would have to do an accounting with the courts, which is required by law. And if it's costing you $5,000, and that's pretty low and conservative, that's $50,000 unnecessarily being paid to go to court just to let the courts approve, your accounting of the conservatorship. So very,
Well, I'm a client of Amphy's, and he's, sits you down and takes you through the process, asks a lot of questions. So, can you share with our listeners a little bit about like what to expect? As they're sitting down doing this planning?
What kind of areas of discussion are you going to be talking about with them to help them flesh this out?
Yeah, the sitting down, no obligation consultation is so important. We pride ourselves as a firm to educate our families. So that's why, Adrian, when you say, we sit down, we talk about this, we talk about, I go, because it's important to know what's important to you and to your family. And then that way we can we go back to well-informed planning. So that way you understand, if this scenario happens, what's the likelihood, what's all the unintended consequences, your options, and then at the end of the day, you now will tell me as your attorney what and how you want to control your assets. So we have conversations about business. We have conversations about, the makeup of the family, the health of the family, the well-being of the family, who's in the family. Because sometimes, and we, in these meetings of families or husband and wife would always joke, well, that's the kids that I know about. And I go, well, it's important to really know who your descendants or your children are. Because that makes a big difference.
Well, every time you fly Southwest, they tell you, put the oxygen mask on you first and then your favorite child. So you can take care of that favorite child the same way you do the child. No, you're going to take care of them all. But the other thing, so our discussion...
The unknown children.
Yeah. Well, the discussion
the unknown children I'm worried about.
Yeah. When people say, how many kids you got? Oh, I got 3 that I know of. I'm like, oh, what the? Take it easy, sailor. But anyway, we're going big picture, and then we're funneling down. So the big picture is estate planning. The next thing in the funnel is the trust. Let's talk about the flip side of, if you don't have a trust, probate. What is probate?
So probate is a court proceeding where the court will appoint a person called a personal representative.
Yeah.
This personal representative would be responsible for administering, basically paying the tax, paying the debts, paying whatever is required for that individual that passed away. And then what's remaining, there is going to be, distributions for the heirs of the estate, what's left.
Yeah.
And unnecessary, time-consuming, a waste of resources because it is costly. And there are many, many drawbacks when you do get yourselves involved with probate. The two biggest things that come to mind right now is the fact that, one, it's a public proceeding.
Yes.
And it's really an invitation for a fight where now the general public, your family, your extended family, anybody that's nearly can just, find out so-and-so passed away. Here's the court date. If you have any claims whatsoever to this estate, please come forward.
Yeah.
So, Amphay, with the probates, on average, how much more does it cost the estates because of this probate process versus, like having the trust and having everything all protected and spelled out?
Depends is probably a bad word that you don't want to hear, right?
No.
What I would say is this. If you're looking at a simple probate, simple meaning nobody's fighting, you have one property, you know who the children are, the descendants are. The simple probates would cost about $6,000 to $8,000. And simple is, again, I put those, if you see me, I'll put those quotations, simple. What we think is simple, when you start looking into it, it gets much, much more complicated.
Yeah. Well, I think...
when I talk about it being, public proceedings and people fighting, I like sharing the story of Prince. I don't know if I shared this with you guys, right? When he passed away, he was actually married.
Excuse me, that was the artist formerly known as Prince? Okay, continue.
And he didn't have his estate planning done. He had no will, he had no trust, he had nothing. And then so, again, it became, okay, he passed away, so who's going to show up?
Yeah.
Well, when that happened, 45 people showed up. They had people claiming to be his wife, his spouse, his children, his this, his that, whoever. Like 45 people.
I think I'm his cousin. Can I get some piece of that still?
No, they narrowed it down. So finally they got down to 6.
Yeah.
And, it took so long that 2 of the 6 beneficiary actually the heirs passed away.
Oh, wow. So. It was taking so long.
So now there's 4 people that are entitled. Now, with this whole process, how much did that end up costing his estate?
Probably millions of dollars in legal fees.
Well.
Yeah.
Initially, they had valued his estate at about $300 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
By the time it was distributed to the heirs, they got about a little over $10 million each.
Wow.
$10 million is still a lot, but however, if the estate was worth 300, then it came down to 150, then you go all the legal fees. They were in court, I think, and I would say 5 to 6 years was how long it took.
Something interesting about Prince, well, a couple things. He lived in, I think it was St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. His house would look kind of cool, but it looked like a 2-story warehouse, very industrial looking. He died in the elevator in his place, and something to do with something. Anyway, I won't speculate on that. But he died. He was found in the elevator. He was alone, found by one of his assistants, and then he had a safe. I heard this on a podcast. He had this safe that you would find in a bank, and this safe is so difficult to get into because nobody knew the combination. That would have been something to put in the trust document. Nobody knew the combination, that there's one of 5 safecrackers on the planet that can get into this thing, and if you screw it up, you're literally going to have to dynamite the door open because it's just so ingenious how this safe door is created. This is kind of like a vault, like you walk into. I'm not talking like a floor safe. And in that safe was a room with shelves full of songs that Prince had recorded but not released. You know how much that is worth if he had just spelled it out? But, the other thing I want to ask you is a lot of times people think, I'm like Mr. Kamakaviva Ole in the Mr. Sancho Lee song by Keolo and Kapono Beamer. Do you know that song?
No, I do not. When you say that, I was thinking...
Yeah, Mr. Sancho Lee.
I was thinking of somebody else.
It's Keolo and Kapono Beamer, and it's a very humorous song. It talks about all the ethnicities that we have here on these islands and all the prejudices and the stereotypes. But
was it Frankie Lima?
Well, he may have done one version of it, but I'm looking it up and it says...
Play it.
It says Keola and Kapono Beamer. But anyway, they go through all the different ethnicities, and I always remember the Hawaiian one because I'm Hawaiian. And they go, Mr. Kamaka Viva, ole get plenty, nothing. Because I was at an event, the opening act. It was actually a real estate event and had the brothers. And they opened up the event by going, okay, how many Hawaiians in the room? And I think I was the only Hawaiian in the room. I raised my hand and they go, okay, that's why we lost the land, because only had one Hawaiian in the room. But the point being is a lot of people, it's a humorous point I'm making here with a very serious message. And that is that a lot of people think, I know more nothing. I shouldn't make one trust. What's the myth of that, Amphy?
The
mistake.
It's sad.
Yeah.
I hear it from one of my dear friends. He actually recently passed away.
Yeah.
And he does property assessments, value assessments, and he said in his 25 years doing this work, he has seen so many Native Hawaiians lose their home because they failed to protect the property.
Yeah.
So when we talk about protection, there's a couple things that kind of come into play. One of it is, protecting yourself in the event now you pass away with regards to the, continuing to pay for whatever is remaining on the property. The second part is protecting the assets, right, in an estate. So, it's to me, I go, the modest income families, this becomes so much more important because the cost, would be significant in terms of us having to go through the probate process or the conservatorships and things like that. And I go, if you plan, you avoid all of that. And I go, spending $50,000, $100,000 in a probate proceedings and you have one house, I go, that's significant in terms of what's now left available for you and your family.
So Amphy, what if the family does not own a home and they have children under the age of 18 and or a child that is special needs? What is the benefit of having that trust and the estate planning done?
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually speak of that together only because we're really talking about incapacity. Mm-hmm. So if you have a minor as a beneficiary, and they are a beneficiary for any types of accounts, say your retirement accounts, your life insurance accounts, your 401s. Okay? They meaning the institutions, are not going to release those funds for the benefit of your minor children.
Wow.
Because minors are deemed incapacitated by law just because of their age. Mm-hmm. Secondly,
the age of majority.
If that individual is special needs, regardless if they're a minor or they're an adult, they're deemed incapacitated.
Yeah.
And third parties, again, like your banks, your life insurance companies, are not going to release the funds. The only means as to accessing this for the benefit of your minor children is through a conservatorship.
Yeah.
So if you have, say a minor that's 8 years old, what that would mean is 10 years the child will be in a conservatorship.
Mm. Okay? With a whole bunch of additional administrative costs.
50,000.
Yeah, that don't go to the child.
No.
Yeah.
And this is just doing accounting. Okay? This is just doing accounting. And I go, now, when we talk about the unintended consequences, when that child turns 18, the law requires an outright distribution of what's in the fund.
Yeah.
So there is no way that the family now, so you get to cross your fingers and hope that this child now that turns 18 somehow is financially educated, financially responsible to know not to waste. In our firm, we call it the baboos beneficiary.
Yeah.
The baboos. I speak about myself as well because at 18, if I came to $200,000, I go, it'll be all gone.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, folks. What the kind dumb knuckleheaded stuff he was doing when he was 18. My kids, when I first made the trust, they were kind of young. So I said 25 for higher education, college degree. And they got to come put one papaya on my grave on my birthday because I like papaya. No, I never put that. I should put that in there. Oh, speaking of which, updating the trust. It's been a couple of years. I personally recommend, I'm thinking like every 5 to 10 years you should update it. Or if you like go buy like 10 properties, you should definitely update it. But how often do you think, last question for you, Amphy, how often should someone update a trust?
If not update, they need to review it.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. If you don't need to make any changes, leave it alone.
Gotcha.
The peace of mind that you got from the planning, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Now, if you need to make changes, again, that would be good times to make changes. And we will contact our families every so often in the event there have been changes in the laws, changes in the rules, and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, good. All righty. Well, thanks for being on.
We do have, before we let Amphy go, I want to just make a quick announcement to our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
About Safe Ride Hawaii.
Sign waving.
Yes. So there's a sign waving for Azalea on December 23rd from 4 until 5:30. Amphy, where can they go?
To get the specifics.
Can they just show up, or how do they participate?
Yes. We are wanting the community support. Safe Ride is important. I think we have a great mission to keep our communities safe, especially during the holiday seasons as people celebrate. So it's going to be right across the intersection going into Ice Palace. That's the simplest way that I can share that. We'll be there from 4 o'clock to, it says 5:30, but we'll be there later. So show up. Show us your support and our love for Azalea and this great work to keep our community
keeping our
safe.
community safe. Yes, thank you for that, Amphy.
Yes, thank you, Amphy. Thanks for being our guest, and
I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're awesome.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha.
All right, so we're wrapping it up. And, real quick note, Azalea was someone that unfortunately was Amphy's daughter, got hit by a drunk driver. And so they started this nonprofit called Safe Ride Hawaii.
Yes.
You can have them at your events. You can call them. They bring 2 people, one to take you home and one to take your vehicle home. So it's an awesome nonprofit that is making not only you as the individual safe, but making our community safe. So please come out and support this remembrance of Azalea, December 23rd, 4 p.m. to 5:30 and or later.
Okay. Well, on that note, thank you for listening, and thank you to our sponsors.
Who are awesome. Jody and Derek of Pacific Rim Mortgage.
Bradley of Allstate Insurance.
Kenji with Pillar to Post Home Inspections.
John with Kilauea Pest Control.
Duke with the Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Robinson of Fine Line Paintwork.
Jake with the Skyta Construction Roofing and Solar.
Scott of Zero Res Hawaii.
Amphy with Estate Planning Group. Awesome having you on the show.
Jason Wu, Attorney at Law.
Jeff with the LoanDepot.
Rhino of Hawaii Unified.
Kenny with Badfish Carpentry.
Janice of Dreamhouse Drafting.
If you want to get a hold of any of our sponsors, all you got to do is go to teamlally.com.
We want to give a big thank you to Leah Rodriguez, our producer here in the studio.
Chee-hoo.
Make sure to tune in next week. We'll have an awesome guest talking about something that'll change your life.
Forever. This is the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed
Sold program. If we can't sell your home at the agreed upon price in our time frame, we'll have it bought for cash. Thanks and aloha.
The preceding program was sponsored by Team Lally.